Huh?
I enjoy your class. I really do.
Thank you so much. It's good to get some feedback. Thank you.
Yes.
Anyhow, let us commence to start.
All righty.
All right. Good morning, everybody. We are finally moving away from the topic of Yehuda and Tamar. Hiya, Robert. Morning. Unmute yourself so I can hear you back. I get some feedback. Okay. So we're finally moving away from the topic of Yehuda and Tamar.
Morning, Marty.
The next kind of instructive situation I want to deal with in Yehuda's leadership is how he deals with his father in the whole story of going down to Mitzrayim to get Binyamin, bring Binyamin back, and to get Shimon out of jail. Now he deals with his father, and as opposed to Reuven, and what that means in terms of leadership, what leadership skills he has. And from then there, we'll move on to his classic confrontation with Yosef by Pashas Vayigash. And from there, we'll move on to Yehuda's actual really being the leader of the family, with Yaakov sending him to Goshen to find proper yeshivas and proper community for them to live. And finally, the bracha that Yaakov gives. So maybe over the next 2 weeks or so, we'll be able to cover that. So we'll be finished with Yehuda, period. Okay? So let's go. We spoke last week. At the end of this year, we speculated on how Yehuda might have gotten back with the family. Remember, after the story of Tamar, we left him in Canaan, somewhere with Chira. And the next time we're going to meet him this week, he's back with the family. And he's fully in the good graces of the family and in good graces of Yaakov. So how did he get back there? So I spent really a lot of time looking at the, Mephoshim and going through particular sources. And I can't find anybody really that speaks to this, how he got back. So all we're left with is, as I said last week, and I'll review it, some speculation on how he got back. It's all speculation. Whichever idea moves you, fine. If none of them moves you, that's okay too. Yes, Ada?
Why is it important that you should spend so much time?
Okay, Ada says it's not important that I should spend so much time. So if it's okay with everybody, then I won't spend any time at all. All right? Okay, I agree with you. It's not important. I won't spend any time on, and then we'll just say Yehuda is back with his family.
Oh, he got
Okay?
back.
He is back. Don't ask me how he got back. Okay, so Rita has a minority opinion, and she feels that it is important to know how he got back. So let me just run through this quickly, all right, for you, all right? Okay, his relationship with Tamar created really like a new kind of a person. It's a different Yehuda we meet at the end of the story than we saw at the beginning of the story. And she woke him up to his responsibilities of what was important, what he had to do. And obviously family is the most important, okay? Number one, okay? Number two, going back to his family might have been one of the things that he needed in terms of the tshuva process. Remember, he had to somehow make up with his father, make up with the families. Okay, so it's part of his road back to tshuva, right? Three, now that he has replacement for his deceased wife in Tamar, okay, and we said that there was a marriage afterwards, okay, and his two deceased children. Remember, he lost Er and Onan, and now he has Peretz and Zerach, okay. He's lifted out of his spiritual depression. He sees things more clearly. He knows what he has to do, okay. Number four, possibly he realizes that raising his children now, Shelah and Peretz and Zerach, outside the confines of Yaakov's family, is not really a place to raise children. Today we look with our kids, what? We look for neighborhoods, best yeshul, best yeshiva, best friends that the kids will have growing up. Okay, so you needed a better neighborhood. All right. And perhaps finally the ra'ab that was taking place, the hunger, the famine that was taking place at this time, okay, He says, look, I'm no better off or no better worse with Chira. I may as well go back to my family and try to deal with the hunger. Perhaps this hunger wiped out we said he was a very successful sheep shearer, and maybe this hunger did something, this famine did something to his business, so he was wiped out, so he figured he'd go back to his brothers, okay? All right, so these are all speculations, okay? All right. In any event, Yehuda's back, okay, with the family. So I want to pick up with your handouts. I'm going to read through the text very, very quickly, and then we'll come back and start to analyze it, okay? Just lay the story for us, okay? So in your handouts, it doesn't have a page number. I want to say it's maybe 72. We're dealing, for those at home, okay, Pashas Vayeshev, halfway between the Revi'i and Chamishi, okay, if you're home, all right? So the story starts, he's back to Finn, Vayerdu Achei Yosef Asor Lishbor Bar Mitzrayim. The hunger is all over. It's a very famous story. I'll just read it through you very quickly. So the family goes to Mitzrayim to get provisions. Yes, Binyamin Achi Yosef Lo Shalach Yaakov Esachav. Binyamin he doesn't send. Why? Ki Omar, he says, Pen Yikrenu Ason. He's already lost Yosef. So he's afraid he might also lose Binyamin. He doesn't want to have any accidents to happen. Stay home. Skip a few psukim by your book.
Wait, I don't think we have it. Oh, is that the date?
Okay, so they go down to Mitzrayim to get corn, food, whatever they need. Because there was a hunger in Canaan. Yosef who are Shalit. Yosef is the ruler, the governor down there. He's the one who determines how all the provisions are handed out. So Yosef's dream begins to be fulfilled, which is what? That the brothers would bow down to him. So they bow down. Yosef sees his brothers. He recognizes them. Okay, Pasuk 7. And he speaks roughly with them. He speaks very, very harshly to his brothers. He speaks where you're coming from. And they give him the answer from Canaan to buy provision, to get provisions. Yosef recognizes them, but they don't recognize him. Yosef remembers the dreams that he had told them about. He accuses them of being spies. You came to spy out to this particular land, all right? No, it's not true. We came down to get provisions. We're all one large family, from one father. We're honest people. We're not spies. Yosef says, no, you are spies. They repeat the argument again. We're 12 brothers. Okay. We have its Canaan from one father. Canaan, the youngest is with his father. One, we don't know really what happened to him. He seems to have disappeared. Yosef, no, Yosef doesn't buy this. Again, he accuses them of being spies. And he sets up a test. This is the way you can prove what you're saying to me is true. He sets up a condition. You're not spies. Prove it. I want to see your younger brother. Okay? I want a hostage. One of you is going to stay here. Okay? And you're all free to go. Go prove it to me. I am Sitchem. For the fourth time, he's accused them of being. That's the test. He puts them all in a holding cell for 3 days, and he says, "This is what I want you to do. I'm a God-fearing person." Okay, that's the story. That's where we find ourselves. A very famous story. That's the background to what's going to happen now. Okay. In Canaan, if you say that you are really very, very honest, okay, one of your brothers is going to remain a hostage, going to remain in jail here with me. And you, here's your provisions, go home. I want one of your brothers here. Bring me back Binyamin. So you'll be able to prove yourself by bringing me down Binyamin. Here's the beginning of the tshuva process now. What, reader? Loud? We are guilty. Okay, right. Vayomu ish al achiv, one brother says to the other, right? Aval hashemim anachnu, we are now to blame. They realize that something has gone very, very wrong with what's going on here. Okay, we are guilty. Al achinu asher ra'inu tzeras nafsho, that we saw the anguish that we put Yosef through. Okay, when he cried out to us, when he begged us, please don't throw me in the bowl. Okay, we didn't listen to him. All these problems we're having now, okay, all this problem is all traced back to that situation. Reuven, the oldest brother, pops up and he says he's going to justify himself. And in reality, when we went through the story, who was the only brother that somehow acquitted himself well in this entire story? The only brother that acquitted himself well was Reuven, right? He says, let's not kill him. Let's not kill him. Okay? And we said his plan was to double back when the brothers weren't around, to pull him out and to bring him back to his father. The problem we said with Reuven was that he had the good plan, and one of the attributes of a successful leader is that when you have a plan, you have to be able to fulfill the plan, okay? Reuven had no real plan. He had an idea in his head, but he had no real plan, no real way of how he was going to fulfill this. So a leader with good words and good ideas without any way of implementing it ultimately is not such a great leader, okay? Right?
With no ideas.
So Yan Reuven some lemor alo Marty alechem lemor al techatu hayelad v'lo shmatem. I told you, let's not sin, let's not commit a sin in what we do with this child, with this young man. Lo shmatem. You didn't listen to me. Begam damo ineng rush, and now we're getting paid back for it. We're getting paid back for it. His blood is being avenged. Huh? I can't hear you. This is the part that Rita likes best. Okay. Okay, this is the part that Rita likes best. Okay. All right. So we said this is the beginning of the tshuva process. This is the beginning of the tshuva process. The Rambam speaks in his Hilchis Tshuva that there are three aspects. This is all should stand us in good stead. There's three aspects to doing tshuva, three stages of doing tshuva. What are the three stages? Stage number one is you have to recognize the sin that you did. Okay. Stage number two is you have to make have a firm conviction or to avow that you're not going to do this avera again. Okay. And three, when the tshuva process, the last step to completing the tshuva process is that if you find yourself in the exact same circumstance that you did the avera the first time and you don't do it, then the tshuva process is complete. So, for instance, I have a yetzer hara for a tray pizza. Okay, I go into a pizza store. I know it's wrong. So the first step of the tshuva process is I made a mistake. I ate a non-kosher pizza. Right. The second step is I'm never going to do it again. And the third step is when I walk by that tray pizza place and the smell is wafting out into the street and I have such a yetzer hara to go in and have it again, I walk by the store. Then the tshuva process is complete. Okay.
Oh, goodness.
Stage appear again.
What if the third stage does not appear? It's a very good question.
And Joseph.
So Ada is asking, what happens if we're never presented with the possibility of the third stage. Okay. I guess, it's a very good question. I guess he's still not doing the Averis, or there is some sort of,
It's not complete.
it's a very good question.
But none of the associates asked that question.
They may, but I haven't read that much, or I don't know the answer. Okay. I don't know. It's a fair question. Okay. Svi, anything you want? Okay. All right. So what Svi is postulating, Hashem knows what's in your mind, right? If all right. Hopefully, it's a good question.
Excuse me, can you
Very
just
good
tell me what parak you're up to again, please?
I'm in Pashas Vayeshev,
Okay,
Membet.
okay, Membet. Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Wait, there's no Membet. Parak Membet.
What
there's
is no Membet? Pashas
There's no
Membet, chapter Membet. Pashas
That's a
40,
Miketz.
chapter
That's
40.
That's a Miketz, Membet.
Okay, so I'm in me case.
Okay. I just
Alright.
wanted to,
Alright.
so Membet
Okay, thanks.
is what
Pashas
pasuk?
me case.
Right, what pasuk?
Pasuk. Well, I'm near Pasuk Lamed.
Lamed. Okay, thank you so much. Sorry to bother you.
Well, I'm going to skip, but I'm going to pick up soon on Pasuk Lamed. Okay, all right. Actually, I'm going to pick up on 24 Pasuk Chaf Dalet. Okay, all right. Yeah. What, Abe?
What situation are they in that they would have to?
All right. We'll see. The tshuva process is ultimately completed when in Pashas Vayigash, and we'll see how that is. Okay. When I get beyond, but we'll see what choices are now available. I'm going to speak at length about that. We can hold it. Abe. What choices are available to Yehuda? Ultimately, when Yosef offers him a deal, you guys are all free. You had nothing to do with stealing my cup. Okay, you're all free. Your brother's going to stay a slave. Goodbye, and we'll see what Yehuda does. Okay, all right. It's the old show. Which door do you choose? Okay? He had two very, very serious. No, he had two very serious options. All right, and we'll talk about them. All right. So 24, by Yisrael and by Yefk, he hears the brothers starting the tshuva process. It appeals to Yosef's emotions. He cries. By Yoshev Aleim, he returns to them. By Yitaber Aleim, by Yikach Mitam Shimon, he takes Shimon from them. By Yasoro Soli Nehem, and he places him in chains right before their eyes. Okay? Right before their eyes. You have to ask me. No, you don't have to. You want to. Okay. That's the next time he cries. That's the next time he cries. Yosef can do a lot of crying. Okay?
Marty,
This is his first cry.
Marty.
Yes, Robert?
can you
Yeah,
please
Robert.
repeat the questions? Because we can't hear the people that are asking you questions.
It wasn't really a question. It was a comment. Okay. It was just a comment that really we all right. Okay, it was just a
Why we
comment.
can't hear them,
We
but-
can go on without repeating the comment. All right. Why did he take Shimon just as he had 11 brothers to choose from? Why Shimon?
He knows who was enticing the other brothers to put them in the
So, so Sam said, everybody's right. Shimon and Levi together were troublemakers. So if you can get Shimon away from Levi, whatever they were the hotheads. So whatever violent action they might have been planning, if they separate Shimon from Levi, there's less of a chance of that violent action happening. Shimon was also the one physically, according to Chazal, that threw him in the bowl. Shimon was the one that threw him in the bowl. All right? Love. Okay. Shimon was the one who threw him in the bowl, so that's why he took Shimon. Okay? What kind? Huh? Not yet. Not yet. We gotta wait. Where's the tshuva? Okay, not yet. Okay. Okay. There's another whole share I could give, which is not germane to this, is what was Yosef's motivation in all of this? Was he put his brothers through hell? But that's another share maybe for next year, different topic. He wanted to teach him a lesson. Okay, all right. Okay, we'll get off. You want to fulfill the tree? Okay, we're getting off the topic, okay? I want to stick to Yehuda. So, they come back to their father. I'll read it quickly. Vayavo Yaakov Avihem Arts of Canaan. They get back with all the provisions. Okay, Vayagidulo, and they tell him, they tell him everything that happened. They repeat that the man there who was in charge there spoke very, very difficultly to us. He accused us of being spies. Okay. And we told them that, no, we're not spies. They repeat the story that we're 12 brothers, okay, we're all from one father. And they repeat over and over again that we're not spies. And he took one of us, okay, and they put him in, he's holding him as a hostage. And we got to come back with Binyamin, okay? Skipping down to sentence 35. They opened up their sacks. All that money is back. Okay? A tremendous fear went through everybody. What was the fear? Okay? Originally, Yaakov felt that this might have been a story that the brothers made up because they found a way to get rid of Yosef. And this was all going to be a ruse. Remember, there was this constant battle between the Bnei Rachel and the Bnei Leah. So now the brothers got rid of Yosef. Yaakov was afraid that this was maybe this was all a planned thing now to get rid of Binyamin, that he'd never see Binyamin again, right? He doesn't trust his sons really. Okay, number one. Anybody comment there? Please unmute yourself. So if there's a comment from people listening, I can respond. Okay. Well, now that they open up their sacks and they see it's all the money is back, now they realize they got a real problem. What?
At that point, Yaakov wasn't with them yet.
Who says Yaakov was with them? I don't understand the question.
Because in Pasuk Lamed it says, "Vayirbu et tzvarot Hashem came Avihem." That means that the father was with them, but he actually wasn't here.
Well, how do we then translate number 36? Vayomer Aleichem Yaakov Avihem, Osi Shikaltem.
Yes.
So Yaakov is with them.
Oh, so they saw them.
Vayagidulo, go back to the top.
So they saw the
Vayagidulo.
money when they were at Yaakov at home.
Right.
Not
Okay.
Right.
Well, they did. They saw it. They saw both places. Abe has a question.
Why does it say that we are 12 brothers?
Why does it say?
Really 10.
Well, they're really no. When they got down
I
there,
didn't know Yosef was there.
no. Abe's question was, why did they say there were 12 brothers? Because there were 12 brothers, and they said 11 are there, and 10 are there. One is young with his father, and the other one we don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, they know.
Well, they are 12 brothers.
They were. They aren't. They weren't right now.
They didn't know what happened.
Okay.
They were right now.
All right. I can't give you an answer to satisfy you, Abe, okay? So let's move on. All right? So, Vayomer Aleim Yaakov Avihem Osi Shikaltem. Yaakov says to them, okay, that you are making me childless. He's very, very, I guess, emotional. He's angry, right? He says, Yosef Einenu. He's personalizing this. I don't have Yosef. Shimon Einenu. I don't have Shimon anymore. There's Binyamin Tikachu, and now you're proposing to me to take away from me Binyamin. Okay? Alayu Yuchalona. Everything happens to me, right? Everything happens to me. Let's stop for a second here and analyze what is Yaakov's emotional status now when he hears this. Where is Yaakov emotionally now?
Obvious.
Huh?
Obvious, I'm happy.
Obviously, he's
Obvious, I'm very unhappy.
emotional, not thinking clearly.
Listen
Right.
clearly, but
He's, well, I don't know if he's thinking clearly. But he's thinking the worst is going to happen, okay? And I make that point because now, when you come across a person in such a state, is that the best time really to approach him? Absolutely not,
No.
okay? I'm saying no. But look what Reuven does. Reuven aspires right now to leadership, okay? What does he say? Yaakov is in this emotional state, and all Reuven has to say to him was, Eshnei bonai tomis. What does that mean? Literally, it means to satisfy Ada, because Ada likes to be literal, okay? My two children, your two grandchildren, Yaakov, Reuben has 4 children, so 2 of my children should die, okay? And lo, I'll be anyway alive. I'll take the leadership. I'll take responsibility. Okay. And I'm making a deal with you. If I can't bring them back to you, my 2 children should die. Okay. Now, okay. What was Reuven's? Is this what Yaakov wants to hear?
No,
He's already lost,
no.
and now he wants to pile 2 grandchildren on top of it? It's a preposterous proposal, right? Not a decent sign of leadership, right? Not a solution that a leader should be dealing with. Chazal seek.
Couldn't think of anything else.
Okay, Chazal feel that this is so silly what he said, so Chazal want to clean this up, and I'm sorry, Ada, this is Tosha B'Peh. Okay, this is not literal, but Chazal want to somehow look to excuse Reuven to make a little bit better what he said. He says, you can put my 2 children, what he was saying, in the Cherem. Okay? Ada, Chazal again.
So you should have said that.
So, okay? All right. Secondly, what he was saying was that he was saying that when we get to Eretz Yisrael, way in the future, they knew they were going to ultimately, through Ruach HaKodesh, that 2 of his 4 children should not have a chelek when they divided the land in Eretz Yisrael. They'd be land poor. In those days, wealth was pretty much measured by land. And there's a saying that we have, Oni Domek Kames. A poor person is considered many times like a dead person. So that's what he was really, okay? That's the other side. That's Chazal. That's something that Ada will not agree with ever. But okay.
Don't worry.
Okay,
Marty?
I'm not worried.
Marty?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like when somebody, God forbid, loses a child and someone says, well, you'll have more children. It's not a solution. You don't substitute one child for another child.
Okay.
It just doesn't
All
work.
right. I've made my notes. I'll read. Once again, we see Reuven intervening and trying to be helpful, trying to be a good leader. All right. But he always seems to speak without thinking. Okay. All right. And that's what's wrong with him. Okay. So let's put this aside now. That's number 1. Let's go on. Sentence 38. Vayomer, so of course, to this silly proposition, what is Yaakov going to say? Lo yered b'ni imochem. Ain't going to work. My son's not going down with you. Ki achiv meis, because Yosef died. Ulevadom nishar, and he's left all alone. Ukro also, there'll be an accident, God forbid, on the trip. But derech shall tell the whole Radha Temes, say, Bosibi, are going shiol. And I'm going to go down. My white head is going to go down to the grave and have even more misery. All right? Okay. So, plan number 1, Reuven's attempt for leadership, plan number 1 is a failure. Yaakov walks away. He doesn't want to deal with it. He's not going to deal with the situation. Time goes by. The famine gets worse. The food that they brought back from the first trip is gone. Okay, by Yom Avihem, Yaakov says, we got our situation again. I don't have any food. Okay, he says, you got to go back to Mitzrayim. I got to get more food. We're going to stop. Okay. What is Yaakov's situation right now? He's in a desperate situation. Okay. Right. All right. So possibly, yes, Sam.
Another sign of Yehuda's leadership is to know when to shut up.
Okay, so we're getting to that right now. Exactly correct. Sam says another sign of leadership is to know whether to shut up. But to put it more positively, it's to know when to get up and voice an opinion.
When spoke, Yehuda didn't speak.
Correct.
This wasn't the time.
Correct. All right. But to put it more positively,
Yeah.
it's a leader has to know when to voice his opinion. Right?
But also when you're not.
Yeah. What as Willie Nelson used to say, you have to know when to hold them and when to fold them. Right?
Willie
Okay.
Nelson, that's,
Now, who is Willie Nelson?
no, not Willie Nelson.
Okay.
What's the other guy?
Mayom I love Yehuda. So the timing seems to be, and we'll talk about all these attributes in 2-3 minutes as soon as I finish the story. The timing in the situation seems to be a lot better. Yaakov seems maybe that somebody's going to say something to him and he's going to listen because he's in a desperate situation. Before he had the food, before the disappearance of Shimon, when they come back, it's very, very raw. He sees it. He has no time to process it in his mind. Okay. And generally, chas v'sholom, when we have troubles, sometimes time gives us time to process it. We're able to get through it or to come up to some solutions with it. Yehuda says to him, I want to remind you, Yaakov, of a conversation that we had with the man. You want us to go back to Mitzrayim? I want to give you the reality of the situation. He laid certain conditions upon us of coming back, okay? If you are willing now to send Binyamin with us, not for us, but for you. We're willing to go down now. If you give us Binyamin, we're willing to take upon us the voyage again. And it was pretty dangerous, I guess, to travel in those days. Not like now, with a Motel 6 or a Best Western on the road. And things were distant. We'll go down, okay? All right? Because the man says, that's the condition. Binyamin has to be with you. Okay? Somebody has their phone on, obviously. Okay. Vayoma Yisrael. So Yisrael, his first reaction to this is,
Not Israel.
now he's Yisrael. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good question. Okay. Vayoma Yisrael, Lama Harayosem Li. He takes it very, very personally. Why did you the brothers, do such a terrible thing to me? Lahagid la'ish, to tell the man, Od lechemach. What was it your business? You know, to give the man all these details about the family. So Vayomru, they answered him, the brothers, Sho'al ish lanu ulumalatenu. The man asked us for basic information to prove that we're not spies. So we had to, prove our bona fides, because he had the ability to check everything we were going to say anyhow. And if anything was out of line, we wouldn't be considered to be Canaan. We wouldn't be considered to be honest. Okay? So we answered him. Okay? We had no way of knowing. So Yehuda now is confronting his father Yaakov. Unlike Reuven, who couldn't get away with saying anything to Yaakov, something in Yehuda that he could go toe-to-toe with Yaakov, okay? All right? All right. Vayoma Yehuda Yisrael Aviv. So Yehuda approaches his father a second time, all right? Shilcha hanariti, right? You take the child, send the child with me. Not with the brothers, but with me personally. Okay? He's taking Yaakov's words, where Yaakov was afraid during the hunger that they wouldn't have no food, that they would die. He's using those exact same words and he's throwing them back at Yaakov. This is a matter of life and death. Okay? And he says something to him, which is very, very similar to what Reuven says. Very similar. He says, Onochi Erevenu, I will pledge myself as a security for Binyamin. Now, how does a person do that? How do you pledge yourself as a security? If he doesn't come back with Binyamin, what is Yaakov going to do to Yehuda? What can he do to him?
No, we wanted to stay there. Exactly.
No, that's the end of it.
No,
That's Carla, that's at the end of the story. That's at the end of the story. That's not now.
Nobody can do anything to him except God.
Correct.
Only God can punish him.
So so the question we have to ask ourselves is, why does Yaakov believe Yehuda or trust Yehuda and is willing to hand over Binyamin to Yehuda, but not to Reuven?
Because Yehuda says God will punish him. He will have
No,
sinned.
well,
That means God's going to
okay.
punish him.
Okay. He says, Im lo habi Yosef eilecha, if I don't come back with Binyamin, v'tzaktiv lefonecha, okay, all right, I have sinned, okay, and stand them up before you. V'chatashi lecha kol hayamim. The sin is upon me. I will have sinned against you for all time. What does that mean?
God is going to take care of him.
Yes, Eugene.
Okay. And not only that, all right, God will take care of it. Kilule hismamonu, because if we had not waited so long, we could have been back and forth a couple of times already. So what are you doing, Yaakov? He's willing to go toe-to-toe with Yaakov. Okay?
Mm.
So, next sentence, Yaakov gives in, and he says, okay. He sets up a whole present that he's going to send them down. But basically, he said to them, okay, I agree. Now, we have two stories here, two brothers approaching family, and we have to relate it back to leadership, because that's what we're talking about, leadership. So, the following. We analyzed the two stories, okay. What about Yehuda's arguments were indicative of what a successful leader needs? What do we see here? Okay, number one, let me really list them off to you and we can go through. Patience, and like Sam said, timing. Patience and timing, right? Right. Reuven jumped in. As soon as they came back, there was really no food emergency. They had the full food. Okay. Yaakov was trying to process all this thing that happened. They come back. There's money. They're missing a son, another son, Shimon. Okay. So patience and timing. And certainly with the patience and the timing, Yehuda knew, as we said, when to hold them and when to fold them. He knew when to approach his father. The better time to approach dad is when we have no food, when he's had time to process all these things that are going on. Okay? Number two, persistence. How would one define the word persistence? What does persistence mean? We would all agree that persistence is certainly a tremendous attribute for a leader, to have persistence. What does persistence mean? If I ask somebody in the room here, or anybody, to define the word persistence, how would you define it? Huh?
You don't give up.
That's exactly correct. So the dictionary has a definition of persistence is refusing to give up or let go. So, very good. Okay.
He's an English teacher.
Robert, you're a lucky man to have such a wife.
He's an English teacher.
Huh? She was an English teacher. Okay. Okay. We see persistence on the part of Yehuda, right? Yaakov rebuffed him the first time, so he came back at him the second time. And he knew how to speak to Yaakov, gently in the beginning. And at the end, what are you procrastinating for? This is life and death. We could have come back and forth already with food a couple of times, Pamayim, okay? So persistence, where Reuven says it to his father once, and then we don't hear any more about Reuven and this whole plan to rescue Shimon and bring Binyamin. He gives up. Yehuda doesn't give up, okay? More important, as I said to you, that political theorist Richard Neustadt He said the greatest power of a leader is to have the power of persuasion. Something about Yehuda's argument and not about Reuven's argument is persuasive that it gives Yaakov, okay, Yaakov gives into it, okay, all right? Persuasion is defined as to induce or undertake a course of action or embrace a point of view by means of argument, reasoning, or entreaty, okay? So Yehuda, one of the gifts of leadership is the gift of persuasion, okay? 4, you have all of those things. Sam hinted at it also. It's the content of your words that matters. Okay, you can have all the persuasion in the world. You can have all the persistence. You can have all the timing. You can have all the patience. But if you don't have the content of what you're going to say, once you have all of this, it means nothing. It absolutely means nothing. Okay, what's important is your program and your wording and how you sell it. Right? Okay. 5. Okay, and this we'll see again also in Yehuda. The ability to read the reactions of those you seek to convince or influence. Okay? Yehuda read the actions of Yaakov perfectly. Reuven approached him. Yaakov got angry, and Reuven walked away. Okay? But Yehuda was able to deal with all the emotions, the reactions of Yaakov. He was able to go toe-to-toe with him. And finally, most important, what Yehuda had that a leader needs, that Reuven did not have, is establishing a feeling of trust. Establishing a feeling of trust. Okay? So we can go 1 to 6, patience, timing, persistence, persuasion, content of words, ability to read the reactions of those you seek to convince, and establishing a feeling of trust. And that's what Yehuda had. And that's what Reuven didn't have, okay? And those are the attributes of a leader, okay?
Yehuda had the right approach. He had the
Yehuda
right
had
approach.
the right approach, okay? Yehuda had the right approach. You are correct, all right? All right. The Rambam says that it really, all of this is true. Everything I said is true, but it really didn't make a difference. Didn't make a difference. Everything I said doesn't make a difference. Because Yaakov, no matter what the conditions were, Yaakov was never, ever going to trust Reuven. The relationship between Yaakov and Reuven had been soured years and years before, with the moving of the bed or whatever happened in that whole story, okay? Reuven having a temper, being angry, whatever it was, right? So all of this is good. Everything that Marty Levine said is a very, very perfect exercise in scholarship, if you want to call it that. But Rambam says that Yaakov was never, ever going to trust Reuven anyhow. Okay. All right. So he gave in. Okay. Let's go to chapter 44. So we know to get down to Mitzrayim. They know to get down to Mitzrayim. I want to set the groundwork for next week's Shia, right? I won't go through everything that happened when they're down there with Yosef, okay? All right? Ultimately, they get together, they have a conversation, whatever it is. Let's go to chapter 44. Skipping your handouts. Mem Daled, Pasuk 1, okay? Vayetzav, this is Yosef, Es Asher al Beiso Lemor. He tells, actually it was Menashe. Menashe was his administrative aide. Okay. Maleis amtechos v'anoshim ochel. Again, fill up the saddlebags. Kasher yuchlon siyes. Fill it up as much as the beasts, as much as the bags can hold. I want them walking away with a full plate. Yeah, right? Okay. The sim kesef ish b'fiyam tachto, and give everybody back their money. Let's repeat it all over again, second time. Yes, Gebiya Kesef, and my special silver goblet. And if you go through Mayam Loways and other Mefarshim, they'll tell you that this was a really, really a special goblet. That this goblet not only was used to drink and to eat from, but he used this for divination, to look at it and to tell the future, whatever it was, like Yosef needed that. Okay? Yes, take the special chalice, the special cup that I have, the silver cup. Yes, kesef shibro, vayas kidva Yosef ashadiber. Okay? Menashe does it. Okay? Chazal will tell you that he didn't put the Menashe was as administered by Yitzav es asher al beiso lemor. Because Ephraim, Chazal say, spent his time learning Torah, and Menashe was the one that, did his administrative assistant.
How do they know that it's Menashe in this case?
Chazal tells us that this was Menashe. Menashe was es asher al beiso. Okay? All right. Because otherwise, if it was somebody else, how did he know who the youngest brother was? All right, so it had to be somebody from the family. Okay, all right. So he's got a silver chalice. Why a silver chalice? Why not a gold chalice? Sometimes there's things are Mida connected Mida. Remember, the brothers allegedly sold Yosef for 20 pieces of silver. So Yosef is reminding him, I'll give him a silver cup, silver for silver. Maybe it'll get them. That's Torah Shabbat again. Okay, all right. Also, Chazal say that this was not only was this he didn't give him the full cup, that this was a special interlocking cup that split in half. You would lock the cup together, okay? And he only gave him one half of the cup. Why? So when they came back, the brothers shouldn't have a taina. This guy's a very, very wealthy guy. Okay, there's plenty of cups around like that. How do I know that this is his cup? You're making this up. When they brought the cup back, they took Yosef's piece and they took the brother's piece, and it locked together. So therefore, it had to be the coast, but that's just a sidebar, all right? Okay. Haboker over was the morning. The men let's get away from here as fast as possible. Okay. They started leaving to go back to Canaan. They get by. They don't go too far from the city. And we know the rest of the story. Yosef says, go chase them, approach them, okay, catch up to them, approach them, and say, Lamoshi lamtem tachas ro'o. Very famous statement. Tachas tovo. Why are you returning evil to me or negativity to me when I treated you so well? What's going on? Okay, and the brothers are upset. Okay, they say to him, 44 plus 6. How could you say that about us? Okay, and he tells him the story. We came back with money. We brought back the original money. We brought the money back. We brought everything back. We came back. We fulfilled all the conditions. We came back here with Binyamin. Okay, all right. How are we capable of stealing? Okay, if we were stealing, we wouldn't come back with our money. And they make a condition. They're so sure that they're innocent that the one who has the cup is found, he shall die. And we will become slaves. We will become slaves. Okay? Okay. That's the condition. Vayomer. So Menashe says, Yosef says, Vayomer gama tokid bum kenhu. Okay. Right? Asher yimotze ito yeli oved. No. The person that's the cup is found, he shall be an eved. V'atem, you didn't steal it, the rest of you. Atem nikam yitiyim. You're free. I don't want you. I don't need you. So vayamaharu, hurry up. Vayoridu ishes hatachta watsa. They open it up, and of course, you know the story. Where do they find it? They find it in Binyamin's saddle. Vayikru simlo sam neged mida keneged mida. They ripped Kriya. Once before, they had caused Yaakov to rip Kriya, right? With Yosef, okay? Once before, they had done this. Mida keneged. Now they're being forced to rip Kriya. Ayamos ish al chamoro. They get up and they go back. Bo Yehuda b'Yachov Beiso Yosef. Okay? Yosef is waiting. He knows what's happening, right? He set the whole thing up. So again, right? They're bowing down, right? And Yosef says to them, what do you think? You wanted to fool me? Okay. And the brothers in 16, we have nothing to say. What can we say to you? All of this is coming from Hashem. They realize the source of all of this is coming from Hashem. This is payback for what they did to Yosef. They say, okay, that they say, we all agree that we're all going to become slaves. And what does Yosef say? God forbid, I'm not going to do this. He's proposing them, I don't want all of you. I only want one of you.
One who's responsible.
Huh?
The one who's responsible. That's the
The
one
one
he
who's
wants.
responsible. That's the one I want. Okay. And you go home in peace. I don't want you. So now the question becomes, okay, which I want to leave you with to think about, or don't think about, whatever you want, however you want to spend your week. If we know the answer, okay? We all know what's going to be. But let's assume we don't know the answer, because we're talking about Yehuda and we're talking about leadership, okay? Let's assume we don't know the answer. And you're offered that deal. You could take door 1 or door 2, you know, what's that show? You run down, you pick a door. Do you take the deal or not if Yehuda? The deal is, okay, the deal is, and it's a very, very, you know, they're willing to all sell themselves all into slavery, right? That's the brothers' proposal. We'll all be slaves, right? And what you call Yosef is offering them a deal. I don't need all of you to be slaves. I only want the one who I found the silver chalice in. He's the one that stole it. And what do I want with you guys? I don't want to put you in slavery.
Don't even talk about
If
it.
you're Yehuda now, do you take the deal or not?
Well, Yehuda takes responsibility.
Oh, they have a choice because he wants to talk.
Do you take the deal or not? Why would you take the deal?
You would not take it.
I know, we know what happens. But what would be the incentive for Yehuda to take the deal?
Because if he hasn't, because it would save his life,
If-
and he's willing to give up his life.
If he takes the deal, then Benjamin stays. Like I said.
So here's my thinking. There was plenty of bit on this table. You're talking about the tshuva process, okay? And we'll work towards it, Abe. Yehuda has a dilemma. If he doesn't take the deal, and he goes home to dad. Well, no, don't laugh. No.
I don't laugh.
Don't laugh. No. And he goes home to dad. He could say, in all good conscience, he could say to his father, Dad, I did everything that I told you I was going to do. I was successful in dealing with the man. I was successful in getting Shimon out of jail. I was successful in bringing Binyamin back. Can I, Dad, be responsible for Binyamin stealing something? I didn't know it. Okay? I did everything I could do. Could Yehuda have gotten away with that kind of an argument? I think yes. I think he could have gotten away with it. We know what he did, Kola. You have to forget what he did. I know what he did. Okay? Okay? Number one, he's got personal freedom. Okay? He was offering slavery, and the guy says, I don't want you to be a slave. He's able to come back to his father. In my mind, at least he's fulfilled all the obligations that he promised his father he would do. Did he get Binyamin out?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. He got Binyamin out.
Oh,
No. Did he get Binyamin out from, did he bring Binyamin back? He was bringing Binyamin back. So why wouldn't he take that deal? It's very, very tempting for Yehuda to take that deal. He could have walked away and said, I take your deal.
No, because he
No, but he wanted to make up for what he did to Joseph.
He wanted to make up for what he did to Joseph, okay? So that's the thing, okay? I certainly feel that if Yehuda would have done that, he might not have been 100% right, but you could have found some justification for what he did, okay? Personal freedom, he goes back to his family, he can raise his children, he goes back with the thinking that I did my best, okay? I got Binyamin back on the road to home. I got Shimon out of jail, and I did the best I could, okay, to fulfill my obligation to my father. And I'm not responsible if my baby brother stole a coat. Except?
That he doesn't believe that he stole the coat.
Ah.
He doesn't believe.
It doesn't matter what he believes.
I know, but he won't.
So let me tell you something, okay?
I'm responsible.
So is that a sign of leadership? Most definitely, right? Let me ask you the question. If Yehuda would have taken the deal, if I said, if Yehuda would have taken the deal, right? How much of Bnei Yisrael would have been missing? How much of Bnei Yisrael would have been missing? 1/12?
Oh,
You're wrong.
oh,
Was all, right?
oh,
Bnei Yisrael is not a whole unless they have all 12 shvatim.
that's right.
11 out of 12 shvatim don't mean anything. Right? Okay?
They had no trust at that time.
They all know through Ruach HaKodesh. That's why Yaakov said, Osi Shikaltem. Yaakov knew he had to have 12 shvatim. He knew through Ruach HaKodesh. He doesn't have Yosef, he doesn't have Shimon, and he was afraid to lose Binyamin. Where's his 12 shvatim? Okay? Abe, did you want to say something? Huh? Oh, because that guy, well, there's a thinking that he always knew that Yosef was not dead, but he never could prove it. He always had a feeling that Yosef was not dead because he never accepted it. He never accepted it.
Who didn't accept it?
So Yaakov was afraid that possibly,
Really?
maybe he could have lived with 11, but 9, now he would have been down to 9.
Yeah.
With that Yosef, with that Shimon, with that Binyamin. Okay, anyhow, it's a good
Marty.
question. Good question.
Marty,
What? Shabtai, good question. What?
Marty.
Question, Robert?
That's a good question. He cut Kriya, so didn't he?
You
sort
cut
of-
Kriya?
Didn't he accept the fact that his son was deceased? But it's
He
hard for any
accepted-
parent to lose a child. We know that.
There's one way of accepting things physically, and there's another way of accepting things mentally.
Ah,
Just
okay.
tell you what I
Excuse me.
He always had a feeling that the Vayimo'en lehisnachem is when the Torah says that Yaakov would never allow himself to be fully rich or state of the Chama, is he never accepted or he never gave in to the fact that Yosef was in fact dead. Something always gnawed at him deep down in his that Yosef might not have been dead.
He always had hope. He always had hope.
You always have hope because he didn't see a body. All he saw
Excuse
was
me.
clothing.
Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me?
I hear you, yes.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. What happens if Yehuda would have said to Yaakov, you couldn't stop Rachel from stealing the teraphim, we couldn't stop Binyamin from stealing the cup?
Certainly a good argument. Certainly a good argument. Okay. Only makes my thesis better that Yosef, that Yehuda could have maybe gotten away with it in his mind. All right. But ultimately, we know that this is not something that Yehuda chose. We know what he chose.
He
And
didn't
next-
want to get away with it. He didn't want to get away with it.
He realized it's all number of things, part of the tshuva process,
Exactly.
part of his own personal journey, part of his exerting those leadership qualities that needed to be leader needs, and we'll talk about them in depth when we get now to the classic confrontation between Yehuda and Yosef in Parshas Vayigash, when the two of them go toe to toe, and we'll see how ultimately the tshuva process that A, Yosef wanted for his brothers, and B, that probably Yehuda wanted for himself, ultimately reaches fulfillment. Okay.
Right.
Why didn't the brothers take a strange kid instead of Binyamin?
Why?
Yosef
Because
would have known the difference.
Okay, because number one, if they bring a strange kid down and Yosef starts interrogating him and starts asking him personal questions, remember, Yosef knew everything about Binyamin. He knew
Yes.
everything about what's going on in the family, okay, up to the point that he got kidnapped. If he started asking Binyamin for these intimate questions, and Binyamin couldn't answer, or the imposter to Binyamin couldn't answer them, they would know right away that they brought down a phony, that they brought down an imposter, and it would have been very, very bad for the brothers if they did that.
Wasn't
The whole
it
argument, 1 minute, the whole argument, Canaan and Nachdu, that were honest men, would have been blown to smithereens.
Yeah.
Why did Yosef give the brothers back their money?
Why did Yosef? Part of the tshuva process. He had a whole plan worked out in his mind, the way this thing was going to play out. Again, it's a whole different share. I don't want to.
The answer is that by giving them back the money, he knew that they were going to return back to Egypt.
There was all,
Because
yes.
they had to return back the money.
Yes. But he had a deeper reason, and that was all part of the tshuva process. And what Yosef was trying to tell his son, his brothers. Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you, Marty. Great lecture.
Okay.
Bye.
That's something to talk to you.
Oh, so he went after.
I want to say how to turn on.